Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are TwinFinity.
So we are back to answer your questions. We're much later than we had anticipated being. We're doing September's questions in October, but we still have September's decorations up, so it still counts as September.
Yes, and hopefully we get to October's questions in October. We had a very busy September and early October. It was a good time, and some of those reasons that we were busy for September and early October will come along in the next question and answer. But for the meanwhile, we're still playing catch up.
And we kind of look a little dreadful because we just got back from the mountains from a hike, and we're still in hiking clothes, and we're still in hiking hair and everything. So
and we really want to do the video tonight before the weekend's all done and we're into weekdays. So
because then it's just never gonna happen.
Right. So we've just come home and thrown all of our stuff in a corner and ran downstairs here and fired up the little computer and sort of looked at the questions. This is gonna be fun. Always is.
So we're gonna dive right in because we have a lot to cover, as always. Always.
Yeah, as per normal, about 3 times as many as we could possibly do.
Yep.
But starting from the top of the list.
You get picked on first.
I got a question right for me. Says, when Angie was going through her running stages, what and how did you feel? What thoughts did you have? And how bad did it hurt emotionally? It was actually more confusing. Because back then, I was just trying to be nice to Angie, trying to be consistent and stable, and some days she would be all lovey and other days she would not. And did it hurt emotionally? Yes, it did, but it was the confusion that hurt more. We didn't know what we were running and chasing from because twin flames was not a known thing to us then. So it just seemed like she just couldn't handle the relationship. And yeah, it really did hurt because I loved her back then. And she loved me too. Just the relationship couldn't work.
No.
And so frustration, confusion was more the feelings.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It was difficult back then.
The whole thing was difficult. And of course, I had lots of drill sergeant in me back then too, so it wasn't like it was just all her. It seldom is just one or the other. Usually one's triggering, to use one of the many favorite twin flame words, the other. So yeah, it was good for a few tears. Really was. Really wondering what was going on. I'm a very, very patient person, so to be taken to the end of my patience...
Where he'll fire somebody?
Yeah.
I deserved my firing.
So that was my take on it.
Okay.
We'll come back to that. That question gets touched on often. Next question. Did you feel peace before you reunited?
Are you going to answer that first or should I?
What is going to be your definition of reunited?
Well, when we came back together, before, this, as we were coming back into full union.
Okay. I see. I was thinking that reunited for me would be after we were living together again. Did that feel peaceful? Actually, there's 2 possible answers there.
Before you reunited.
Okay.
So how I take that is before we started coming back together into the union that we're in now, did we feel peace? I did not. If I was in 5D, yes, because there everything was peaceful. But in 3D, no, I felt tremendous stress because I was so friggin' confused with everything that was going on. I was experiencing him in 5D and wondering if I was crazy and having all these strange dreams that weren't dreams. They were like astral travel experiences where he'd come to me in the middle of the night in astral travel ways, and just so much going on that I thought I was nuts. So it wasn't really peaceful, it was stressful.
Before Angie told me about Twin Flames, we were starting to get back into contact. And I don't think peace is the right word. I felt good. I felt okay. It felt good to have Angie coming back into my life. I don't know if it was peaceful because hey, I still in my karmic relationship, and as we were starting to come more and more into communication, getting back together was not part of what we were talking about at
No.
all. It wasn't. It was just a reignition of a friendship.
Yeah.
So did I feel any peace? No, but I didn't feel like it was an upheaval. I didn't feel anything that would be the opposite of peace. So I guess I was more in a mild, happy curiosity of where our friendship was really going to go. After she told me about Twin Flames, aside from all that I realized was going to happen in my life, I did feel quite a bit of peace simply because of the questions that were being answered. All of a sudden, understanding why we had a connection. Uh, uh, all that was very, very peaceful. I had answers, I had conclusions to what had been happening over all those years. So when you've got a whole bunch of aha moments, all of a sudden you feel better. You really do.
True.
Now, she didn't know how I was taking those aha
No.
moments, so she probably was still not
I
very
was
peaceful.
still, even after I told him, I was still nervous every day. I was waiting for that other shoe to drop, thinking, okay, today he gets it, tomorrow he's going to be like, this is all crazy crap, I'm out of here. So it took a long time for me to relax into it and really embrace it. And then also, like we were saying, the karmic stuff was so confusing because we were not fully out of other relationships. So it was like, well, how do we move forward with this? None of it was peaceful for me, quite frankly, in 3D. If I was meditating and in 5D and in that place, yes, it was calm, it was peaceful, I was okay there. Now, I know we said we were going to give up if we froze, but I'm going to try and see if it'll behave.
Okay.
Our computer.
It sometimes throws tantrums.
And tonight's one of those nights, apparently.
Yeah, we've had a few videos in a row that have actually gone very well.
Yeah, I know.
This one's trying to fight. It's okay.
But
it's only because we've got a very narrow window. Like it's when we got all the time in the world. No, it's just going to work great the first time.
Okay, next question. We'll lament about our computer later. Maybe it's time to finally use that video camera we bought that we haven't used yet.
That we haven't used yet.
Yeah.
We were going to change formats, but we're waiting for the right time.
Yeah.
Right time might be coming a little bit closer. How do you know when you're coming out of separation with your twin? Well, you better have an answer for that.
That's funny. So this one actually goes along well with the last question. For me, again, I didn't know it at the time, but what I would say looking back is all those kind of experiences, and this could be different for everybody. So I'm only sharing what my experience was. If you're having all of these things now that I'm going to list, it doesn't necessarily mean you're coming out of separation because everybody's path and everybody's experience is different. For me, though, it was when we started to unite in 5D because, like the saying goes, that so many people say, as above, so below, and as within, so without. So when we were connecting inwardly more, and I was having, him talk to me telepathically, having, like we just shared, the astral travel experiences, having the flashes of, when I'd be brushing my teeth, I would see him there in the bathroom with me, or in the kitchen with me, or I'd go into the garage and I'd see his vehicle. All those things were sort of experiences of union coming. I didn't know that at the time. But some people are experiencing that now and their union isn't coming yet. So again, it's just totally different for other people. A lot of what it means, though, is that you are merging your energies. You are merging with your twin flame, because the more you have those kinds of experiences of connecting on the higher realms, it means you're obviously more connected. You're less separate from each other and blending your energies more and more. Another one for me, speaking of blending energies, is when I would meditate, I would see our energies separate, and within the weeks, I could see them starting to blend more and more. Like our chakras were starting to almost overlap. And when it was only weeks before actual union happened that I saw that our chakras weren't even overlapping a little bit anymore, they were just merged completely together. It was like I couldn't say this was his chakras, this was mine. They were all blended together. I also experienced like an activation, like everything just lit up inside of me. It's even hard to put into words because it was just so unique. But that's all the stuff that started happening for me. So I don't know if you experienced any strange, neat things.
That was just such a good answer that I'm even scared to even try to compete with that.
But you often have the awesome 3D answers.
Well, and you know that I do. But my answers just feel so obvious in comparison to that great answer you just gave. I love that.
Yours are obvious?
Yes. You see, for me, when we were getting back in touch, I couldn't really answer this question because I didn't know we were twins yet.
Yes.
So, from that point of view, and also from the point of view of after I knew we were twins, I really think it's when your twin is not only just kind of agreeing with the path of being a twin, but when they're actually getting actively involved in being equal or even leading. Because when Angie came to me and told me about twin flames, I all of a sudden took the lead in discussing and understanding.
Yeah, I was
and
afraid
wanting
to
get
tell
back
you
together.
anything. I'm like, he's going to think I'm a wingnut, so I'm not saying anything. And he kept being the one to come forward with more knowledge and more thoughts.
So, the coming out of separation is kind of one thing. The being ready to head towards union is another, but the one step leads to another. If you feel like you're just dragging your twin back into conversations about twin flames, there's no coming out of separation there because it's not an equal effort towards building the relationship. So when it's a little more back and forth, give and take between the two of you, that's when you can see that some progress is being made.
See, you had insights. I knew you had something.
That's all I had. That
was good.
That was my only original answer.
We're just going to have a freezing kind of video.
We're just going to have a freezing, jumpy
just
little video.
The way it is.
Next question. Why when I hear his name or I'm being told something about him, do I get an uneasy feeling?
I would guess that that's triggering of some sort that's going on. That's something within you that's needing healing, needing looking at. Because remember, our twin is our mirror. They're our same energy. So if we're getting an uneasy feeling with our same energy, then there's something there to look at.
Really sounds like that you're feeling something outside of the 5D realm. This sounds like fears, lack of confidence. And that's for approaching 3D feelings, which is all good, but at the same time, I would almost say fear-based. Just there's these struggles. It's almost like you're remembering the negative portions of your relationship and allowing them to overpower or overshadow the positive portions of the relationship. Why do you feel uneasy? Lack of confidence.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's a form of triggering. When something stomps all over your confidence, that's a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, wow. This next question's got a lot of words in it.
You're so funny.
Should I start there or should I start
Yeah,
there?
start the second one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm just starting to do my own shadow work. In the past, when I tried other modalities, I was eager for a physical sign from my divine masculine of reaching out to me to know that I've made progress in what I was doing. How do I go into this without having any expectations of physical signs from my divine masculine twin? Shadow work. Do you want to define shadow work?
Sure. Just so other people that may not know that.
Just so that maybe some of us who aren't clear.
So shadow work is looking at the parts of yourself that you may not like, or the parts of ourselves that need healing. It's always easy to say, sure, I'm this, this, and this, all the nice qualities, but the maybe not so nice qualities need looking at too, because that's part of our work and part of our healing. Sorry, I'm working with the dog here. So if you see me keep moving, it's because I'm petting the dog to keep her entertained. So yeah, shadow work is looking at the darker sides of ourselves that we might not want to face. If we're mean or angry or have insecurities, or I can't think of anything right now. But all those kinds of things.
So why, if a person's doing shadow work, are they expecting any signs or communications from their divine masculine? Shadow work sounds like a very individual growth.
Because as you do your shadow work, because we're connected, if we do our work, then the other person is going to change as well.
Going to benefit some of the results.
Yes. However, and this is the part of the key, is that it doesn't necessarily mean they change when we do. Yes, they're going to get the benefit, but God knows it could be down the road. I mean, I'd been working very consciously on myself for many, many years, and it wasn't until years later that I saw those changes in Rob. So to answer the question, though, is how do you do the work without expecting anything from your twin?
Yeah, without having any expectations.
So my answer is don't do the work for your twin.
Yes.
Don't do the work for union. Don't do the work for any other purpose than your own growth, your own healing, your own desire to be your best person. Honestly, that's the only reason we should ever be doing work. Because if we're doing it for our twin, if we're doing it for an external result, then we're not really doing the work and we're not really getting the full benefit of the work. It's got to be for the desire that you want to heal, that you want to grow, that you want to be your best self for yourself. Remember, being a twin, you are connected with somebody, but that connection is inside of you. So if you're trying to do something for an external result, it's not going to happen. You have to do it for your own internal reasons.
Completely agree. Completely agree. I'm not even going to throw another spin on that. It's okay. I guess I am going to throw another spin on that. Yes, it's definitely a thought of doing the work for yourself and letting that work from yourself be noticed by your twin through 5D. But to inflict work on your twin through 5D is very, very much harder, because that would actually be an admission that you actually understand what is blocking your twin, and really only your twin can understand what's blocking themselves. That's why they have to do their work to work on what's blocking them, and you have to do your work to work what's blocking you. And eventually, as these blocks go down, as you become more balanced, more grounded, and improve and or do lots of growth, then the 5D connections have more channels, more laneways to actually work better.
Laneways, I like that.
Yeah, go from a 2-lane highway to a 4-lane highway.
Only Rob. And by the way, everything that I've just said is not at all in judgment, because I understand the motivation of, okay, if I do this, then I'll see an external result. I get that. I've been there myself. But it always has to come back to the self, because that's really all there is. Our twin is us. So everything must be motivated for our own purpose, not for an external result. But I know it's not always easy.
Boy, just as a sidebar, and I'm even scared to say this, it's one thing to work on yourself and have increased confidence. It's another thing to work on yourself and get so much confidence that you step into a world of ego. That's where the balance comes in. That's where the balance comes in.
That's like a whole other topic.
That's almost a tangent talk.
That's totally a tangent talk. I'm like, how did we get there?
Yeah. Well, we talked about so much about working on ourselves to improve ourselves. Then I got thinking about confidence, and then too much confidence.
Got it. Okay.
Tangents. That one's my fault.
Rob's good at tangents.
Did you like your answer? Did you have any more to add to that?
No.
I really liked your answer.
Okay.
Totally there. Totally there. Next question.
You're funny.
Did you feel like being one consciousness now that you are together?
I'm going to let you answer that one first.
Yes, I do.
Really?
Really, I do.
Wow.
Because there's just so many times, like, I wake up first thing in the morning and all I have to do is just roll my hand over and just touch her, and how she responds, all of a sudden I just kind of know where she's at.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I just have to touch you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
We just were talking about that on our hike today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just a knowingness, a connection. We're actually starting to have a little bit of fun of trying to guess what the other person's thinking. For example, if I say, I have a thought about something, and she'll say, is it this? Is it that? And sometimes just by the way she just says her voice, whether it's something exciting or not, sometimes I can pick up on a direction that she's going.
Mm-hmm. But the question is, does it say always, or how
do you feel like one being one consciousness?
Oh, okay, so it doesn't say always.
No. Yeah. So, yes, I do. The connection that I have with Angie is far and beyond anything I've had with anybody else. And I feel like it's getting closer and closer. I really do. I'm really starting to understand her, and when she mirrors back to me, sometimes causes me to understand myself better too. So I'm starting to really have fun with this closeness, wow. Closeness and consciousness.
I love it.
We are tired, or at least the we part of me is tired.
Now that you've given the warm and fuzzy answer, I'm going to give the not so warm and fuzzy answer.
Good cop, bad cop?
Well, no, but just I feel it when we're not at work. Even sometimes at work, yes, if I'm not busy at work. But if I'm busy and I got lots going on, I'm in my own little 3D realm, and I don't even feel him sometimes at all. So it's not always there. But I feel it mostly on the weekends, for sure.
Yes,
we get more time together.
We get more time together. We definitely remeld.
Yes.
And you know, when I'm at work too, just to comment on what Angie said, yeah, when I'm at work, I could sometimes go 2, 3, 4 hours without even thinking about her.
Totally.
Let alone feeling anything.
Yeah.
She could be having a really bad day and I wouldn't know it most of the time.
Yeah.
Other days I do get either a real positive or a real negative, like the easy or uneasy feeling.
Yep. Sometimes we'll check in and go, I'm feeling anxious. Are you feeling that way?
Yeah.
And we both are. And we're like, okay, it's just universal energies. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
even feel like it's mine. So, yeah, we have that sometimes.
When we ask those questions, though, when we haven't been in touch, the the far majority of the time, we've felt something.
Yeah.
A disturbance in the force, as per se.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, when we're together physically more or not distracted by 3D things, I think we definitely feel the one consciousness. But when we're engaged in the 3D world at jobs and busy lives and all of that kind of stuff, it's not always there.
Today, when we were driving back from the mountains, I stopped at the edge of the mountains and said goodbye to my summer mountains and said, okay, winter mountains, you can come now, because it's just right on the edge of the lack of any, or the end of anything you could do with summertime activities.
That's so cute.
And almost the last words that I thought slash said to myself before getting back into the vehicle, Angie was saying when I got back into the vehicle.
Really? You didn't tell me that? What was
No,
that?
no, the bye mountains, bye mountains. Like,
Oh,
you repeated it 3 times, and the last thing I thought or said to them when I was outside the vehicle was a triple thought. Same thing repeating.
oh, that's so funny.
So
Oh,
we do stuff like that.
apparently we do. Don't even know it. That's cool.
It was sort of like listening to an echo.
Yay.
Okay, next question. This is interesting. Do you think Rob first awakened in you, Angie, and after in 3D? Meaning you had to awaken to him inside of you first in order for him to awaken in 3D. So did I trigger your awakening and then you re-triggered mine? Did I read that right?
That's a good question. I don't fully have an answer though, because it's honestly it's hard to know. I mean, in some ways, yes, because he's the one that started the telepathy. You know, I was innocently going about my life, and all of a sudden I have him in my head saying, I want to be with you, but I don't feel adequate because you're so much more spiritually advanced. And I'm like, what? So, he was more awake in one sense because he started the telepathy. I didn't communicate with him, at least not that I knew of. Not that you know of.
I'm going to go way back to our early days, the 1997 days, and into early 1998. Angie was always much more awake than me back at those times. I was just learning to communicate with spirit one-on-one. I was just me and spirit. But what I was trying to do all those months was instill a little bit of groundedness into Angie. So it's not that I had to awaken her. I actually almost had to do the opposite. I had to settle her back down.
Yeah, I always picture like I was the balloon floating up there.
Yeah.
You had to be the one on the ground with the weights going, no, come back down here.
Don't, yeah. Nice analogy. So, yeah, I don't know about the awakening bit. Maybe I've caused a little bit more awakening in Angie along the way, but she's been the awakeness leader between the two of us.
But while I agree with that, I mean, I've always been the spiritual twin, which means I'm more awake, but I don't never think it's fair to say that one's awake and one's asleep, because first of all, how do we know that? Second of all, I know you have been way more awake in some things than I was. You've had your own awarenesses. And because we're one energy in two bodies, how can you even say one's awake and one's not? You know, one maybe is playing the role of not being awake because that's what needs to be played at that time. One of you is playing the role of being awake and one of you is playing the role of not being awake, but it's not to say one is or isn't awake.
Yeah, you talk about being awake or not awake, or aware or not aware, or matrix twin versus spiritual twin. Uh, how about experimentative twin, the one that's out learning lots, versus the grounded twin, the one that's going,
Sure.
the one that's going, okay, I can take this piece of information, but I know where my baseline is. I'll take that piece of information. I know where my baseline is. That's been more of my role, is to take information that resonates with me.
Totally.
Where Angie's just been out just finding information, and sure, she's picking up on stuff that resonates with her, but she's also picked up some stuff that didn't resonate with her. But nonetheless, I've still had an opportunity to throw in whether or not it works for me or not along the way too. So she's been out experimenting lots by exposing herself to all sorts of different concepts and realizations.
Yeah.
Where I've been cherry picking what I can handle without blowing apart my groundedness, which is just so important to me.
So just to go back to the question a bit more, I think you awaken each other, again, because you are the same energy. You can't have one that's awake and the other one not awake, at least on the higher realms. Sure, in 3D, it's all illusion anyway, right? So one plays the role of not awake because it's not their time to play the role of being awake. If it was, then you would be more eager to be together because you'd be like, well, we're awake and they're awake and okay, well, let's be together. But maybe it's not your time to be together. So, yeah, I think you awaken each other. I think there's not one that's awake and one that's not awake.
Okay. Next question. For Rob.
Rob gets all the hard questions this time.
Oh.
I think the next one's for you after that, too.
Really?
Yeah.
What truly made you hold back in your mind space / vocal space? When did I hold back in my mind space / vocal space?
Well, there's more.
Oh, hang on. I might actually have to read this question over. All right, let me try this. What truly made you hold back in your mind space / vocal space from disclosing all your emotions and thoughts to Angie when you knew in your heart it was there? Or was it maybe you were completely in your head space and didn't know it in the heart at all yet? Basically, what did you as the masculine understand about her in your emotions and heart space?
Interesting question.
I take it that that's a 1997 question.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking more recently, but it could be both. Because when did you hold back
from disclosing all your emotions and thoughts to Angie when you knew in your heart it was there?
So I would take that like when we were just starting to come back and we were in a friendship place.
I didn't really hold back at that point. I kept on pushing forward.
No, there was some holding back.
Okay.
But I think the most of it is you were in another relationship still. You were like, I'm feeling all this stuff, but I'm with somebody else. I can't be expressing this stuff. That's my interpretation.
Most of the time when I hold back, be it when we were just getting back together, when I was in my karmic relationship, or even back in 1997, it was a 3D, very definite 3D holding back. It was there is no clear path in front of me, therefore I'm not just going to go pushing boundaries. Sort of like why proceed forward unless you have a plan? Most of the time when I hold back, it's because I don't have a plan.
Yes, and he's a planner.
I definitely am a planning person.
Yes. There's plan A, B, and C. Always.
Now also Angie comes to a lot of her own conclusions. Sometimes when she's stuck, if I just sit back and wait, she figures her way through it. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to nudge. Because Angie doesn't like being stuck. She never has. Not from the first day that I met her. So, a lot of times, just like you can't really try to tell your twin anything that they're not prepared to handle. If I don't say anything, it's because I'm letting her sort it through herself. But then again, I also had the trust, and still have the trust, that you're going to work your way through things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another thing with Angie being a highly sensitive person, what makes me hold back verbally? Sometimes I have to really make sure what I'm saying is going to be relevant and helpful. Sometimes I have to be careful of misstepping. So, again, that goes back to having a plan. Whether it's a plan for stepping forward or just making sure I have a plan that doesn't cause me to step a mile backwards. Still need to have a plan.
You're funny.
That question was tough.
Oh.
This would be one of those questions that if you had the person right in front of you, they'd be able to clarify the point of view that you wanted to answer from. Because I really feel like I need another run at that question. I just don't know the perspective and or point of view and or timeline that that question was going after.
I take it as like when we were developing a friendship and all we could talk about was license plates. Because if I deviated from that at all, you were like, shut down. But again, I also interpret a lot of that was because of karmic stuff.
Karmic stuff when we were just developing a friendship. At that point.
Yeah.
Just happy to have her back. Maybe I was nervous a little bit about the past, but I'd also seen lots of signs that Angie's past, she'd worked her way through it. So I'm not going to take nervousness as an answer from myself.
Okay. Well, maybe you'll get another shot on the next question.
Yes, you're right. It is another question. Starts out with the word Rob.
I know.
I love questions. I really do. I really do. Rob, you may have answered this already. My question is, how did you handle not only telling your karmic, but also breaking away from the life you had already established and embarking on a brand new life?
Good question.
Was there fear, grief, sense of loss? I'm trying to understand from the divine masculine point of view. Yeah, that's actually a question that I can totally dive into for hours on end. See, when I broke up with my karmic, I made no reference whatsoever to the thought that I was going to another path. Her and I had often discussed that if something was to happen to our relationship, that it would just end. One or the other of us would just end it, and we would just pick up our pieces, scoop them up, and move on with our lives without each other. So I felt no need, especially when I didn't know the future, I didn't have a solid plan. I felt no need whatsoever to tell her anything other than the thought that our relationship was over. So I didn't have any fears of telling her anything because I wasn't planning on it. But also the next portion of this question was breaking away from the life you had already had established, which was a very good life, a life that most people would still want, and embarking on a brand new life. There was some things about my karmic life that I knew, and there are more 3D things that I knew would be very hard to replicate in our new life, the life that Angie and I were going to have. Not that there's any real, what I'd call, financial difficulty, but the financial security in my karmic life was significantly stronger. So I knew that there would be some things that I used to take on as just good old living embellishments that I would have to be careful on now, a little more careful on. So, yeah,
you walked away from a lot.
I actually did.
Huge amounts of stuff.
I did. There was lots about that life that I liked and I loved.
And it wasn't just your karmic, it was your friendships, it was family, It was the financial stuff, like you say.
And it was
their
her.
home.
It was her family. I liked her kids
you were very
and the
attached to her
lives that they were
family.
going on with. So
Mhm.
there was a whole lot of a sense of belonging that I was walking away from.
Yep.
And for me, a sense of belonging is it's like being part of the pack. I left one pack for another, and yet I didn't want to leave the whole other pack behind. It was really, really a hard decision. Earlier on in my life, before I even met Angie, I switched cities. I left one city where I felt that I just had nothing left there that was left for me. And I was very glad to leave that and jump to the city that we're in now. And I knew that I'd have some ties left to people back there, but I could choose those ties. This was a lot harder because I I was still enjoying many things about where I was.
Mm-hmm.
But I also felt like I was following a destiny. I felt like my previous destiny had run its course. The growth had slowed down. So I had to take a leap of faith that the new growth that Angie and I would have together would step through and be completely worthwhile in comparison to the old stagnated, had run its course, had nowhere else to go, really growth. It was a good choice. Great choice.
But you didn't know it then, which
I think is know it then.
Courageous.
But intuition does come a lot into it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to have a look at where you're at, where it's going, where you could be at, and where that could go. Sometimes you got to jump ship and change your path.
And the call of the soul. Like you honored the call of your soul. It just screamed, I got to go here. And even though you were like, I'm going to lose this and this and this, you just did it.
Just to use one of my favorite words again, I'd spent a lot of years overcoming fears. And I knew this was another one that I was going to have to face. It was coming up to me, and I couldn't afford not to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good answer.
Was there a sense of loss? Yeah. Some things I've lost I will never get back.
Yep.
The things I've gained I would never give back. Very cliche, but very true. There's when something changes, there is a loss.
Always.
Yeah.
It's a death.
There's
a
a
change
loss.
Is always a death of something and a rebirth of something new.
And most of the time when you've done change, it's changed in something that you at one point completely had chosen to do.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time you don't have bad luck just thrust you into a spot. Oftentimes, especially when it comes to relationships, you've chosen a relationship. You've done that as being the best choice that you could make for that time. And now you're faced with the thought of giving up on that choice and choosing another choice. Never easy. Never easy.
Yep. It's true.
Leaps of faith. Having to have the faith that the divine knows what it's doing. A lot of divine masculine can't really get there. They either get there very, very easy or they can't get there at all. It's a big sticking point for the DM. It really is. A lot of DMs are in careers that teach them, show me the money. It's either there or it's not. What's this leap of faith? Hope is not an action plan. We're kind of programmed that way by our society. The 3D sides of us don't take leaps of faith very kindly.
But that's why the feminine within them, because we have both masculine and feminine within all of us, whether we're female or male, helps balance that out. And when they do balance that out, that's what helps them take that leap of faith, because they do then follow the call of their soul instead of following their logical side. So you had gotten to the point of being quite balanced within. in order
Yes.
to listen to that call, even though everything logically was like, no, 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 I'm going to lose this, this, and this.
I've always recognized a bit of a stronger feminine side within me. And it's been interesting letting my feminine side be an equal to my masculine side. It's That's been another one of those leaps of faith, and I've really enjoyed that, and that I can't honestly say that I know how I got there.
Hmm. That's another one that's a whole other talk.
That is.
Yep. Okay.
Next question.
Yep. I'm the drill sergeant tonight.
Okay.
My okay is next question.
Okay. My twin and I are going to have a baby together. Okay. And now I get to read the rest of the question. I am currently 9 weeks pregnant. How many weeks do we have to add on to this? How long have we had this question? Okay. I'm currently 9 weeks pregnant, and I'm wondering if you have any insight on knowing about our baby being born with special gifts and life purposes.
You said the word twice and you're still here. You lived through it. Well done. I'm sorry.
I'll be okay.
I forgot about that question.
Yeah.
What?
My twin and I are going to have a baby together. I'm currently 9 weeks pregnant, and I'm wondering if you have any insight on knowing about our baby being born with special gifts and life purposes. First of all, your baby's soul has chosen you. I could say you two, but you're actually you one if you're twins. Has chosen you two and one for a reason.
Yes.
Know that soul is part of your soul group.
And I would say if you as twins have special gifts, because we all do. I mean, let's be real and fair though. It's not just us as twins that have special gifts. I honestly get frustrated when people think that as twin flames we're like more special than anybody else in the world and we have more gifts. No, we don't. We're no more special than anybody else. We're just unique. But everybody has their own special abilities, talents, gifts. However, with a soul choosing twin flames as parents, I would say you're going to end up with a very advanced soul here to help with the evolvement of Earth. Because as twins, that's our job, that's our mission. And so your child is going to come through with the same mission. So often twins have what are called crystal or rainbow. I don't necessarily think indigos anymore. I think indigos were, the older generations. Now it's more the crystals and rainbow children coming through.
So the thought of indigo is more like out the wind?
Oh boy. Somebody's going to be slapping their head going, oh God.
Sorry. I think I'm a little stuck on the soul groups thing on this question.
Okay.
Within our universe, we have older galaxies and younger galaxies. And therefore, I would think that we would have soul groups that have been around and been together and have been learning for a longer time than other soul groups that may have come together after. It's not like I think all soul groups started at the same time.
Oh, that's a whole other topic. Why do you keep tangenting tonight? You're like,
yeah.
we got to write all these tangents down. Oh my dear God, that's like a big.
So with taking this little fearful step of having older souls or younger souls and older soul groups, like maybe older people, as an example, hang out with older people, younger people hang out with younger people, learning different things. I'd say that chances are your soul group is going to be fairly close to where you're at. Therefore, without expectations, isn't that just a dangerous world? Without expectations, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you see see your baby, especially growing up over the years, showing signs of
Oh,
advancement
for
much
sure.
similar to your own.
Yes. And I think they will come in very awake, very aware. Often they come in clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant, and they don't lose it. You know, a lot of us have all come in those ways, but the 3D world causes us to lose our gifts. I think the new ones coming in, especially those
Oh,
born to twins and other people that are highly awake and on a deeply spiritual path, those kind of children come in and they're here to awaken others.
watch who they hang out with. Not from a good or bad point of view, but just from a spiritual point of view. You'll find that they'll gravitate towards others who I think are a little more awake. And yes, you just even had a tangent talk moment there. We're gonna have lots of tangent talks come out of this.
Yeah, all of these people that are afraid our videos are going to be no longer,
No,
don't worry.
no,
We got lots more to talk
we
about.
just keep on stumbling into more and more material. It's just wild.
Yeah. All right.
Next question. What's a twin flame mini union? What is a twin flame mini union?
I was going to say, I've honestly never heard of that term before. I'm only going to guess from my own knowledge that that would be classed as when we reunite with our twin flame for a small bit of time or any bit of time and then realize, okay, we have more work to do. Either we realize that on a conscious level or not on a conscious level. Without outing anybody, I'm going to share that there is one person that I message with on a somewhat regular basis who has just met with her twin, hasn't seen her twin in many, many years, and now they've come back apart, not out of anger or anything. It was a holiday kind of visiting thing. And they both now know that they have more work to do before they can be in union. So it's a conscious, but it doesn't have to be a conscious separating again because there's more work to do. So a little mini coming together and then another pulling apart. That's what I would say. I've honestly never heard the term though, so I'm just going by my own understanding.
Yeah, I could speculate all night. I would probably miss the point, so I'm not gonna comment.
Okay.
Except for the thought.
I
There's
was
my
just going to
comment.
say, Rob's not a not commenter. You're going to comment.
If you have a mini union and then have to break up, I would almost think that a mini union, if it doesn't hold and it isn't a separation, a mini union would be just a prelude to a future life.
That's a nice way of putting it. That's how I would see it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm squirmy because my hips are a little sore from our climb today.
Oh, I like questions to start with the word if. That allows a lot of poetic license.
Poetic license.
If you had known about twin flames the first time you separated, what advice would you have given yourselves about the journey?
This is a hard question.
Take your time. Take your time. If we had known about twin flames the first time,
It would have been a disaster. That's why we chose not to know.
Yeah, I do.
Two type A, totally dive in, get the shit work done. Let's go, let's go. We would have tried so hard.
So we would have tried way too hard.
Yeah.
Then we would have probably blown up.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, we still would have had the blown up.
Absolutely.
Blown up would have done its own thing. And then we would have given ourselves 2 hours and 45 minutes to pull it all back together.
Yeah. Both planning, both intense people, both highly driven. Oh, yeah. It would have been bad. It was so good we didn't know.
No, we definitely needed to not know.
Totally.
I don't know how people who do know do this. Wow.
Luckily, they're not our personality, hopefully.
Well,
they are.
If they are, no one.
Oh, man.
If you are our personality, no wonder you're asking questions.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
now can you answer the question?
Yeah.
I don't know what I said. I wrote notes because I had to really think about that one because I'm like, "Ooh, what would I say?
What advice would you give yourself about the journey? Well, with all the advice that's out there and all the thought of needing to grow first, if I would have known that, I would have stood back and let Angie do a bunch of growing because I would have thought it would have probably been all her fault that she wasn't grounded enough and would have blown us apart. So I would have probably started doing the finger pointing thing.
Classic twin.
Yep,
All your
I'm
fault.
ready. Yep, it's all you. You're bouncing around all over the place. You go fix that and come see me when you're done.
Okay, drill sergeant.
Yeah. Got that, soldier?
That's funny.
Okay. Yeah, that would have been that. I just put myself back about 20 years, and that would have been about what I would have done. That would have been of no benefit.
But I think the question is more like if you had known about twin flames first time.
The first time you separated.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I take it more like how I sort of read the question is, when you have those people that are like, okay, what would you say to your old self now? But that's not really what the question is asking.
No, as what if we knew? We always say that we knew, that we never knew. But what if we knew?
And what would we tell ourselves?
What would we tell ourselves?
See, I have a hard time answering that question from if I'd known back then, what would I tell myself? I'm going to answer differently just because that's the answer I have.
Okay.
You're looking at me with a funny face. You funny eyes.
I'm just slightly scared of your answer, that's all.
I need this because I wrote my answer down. Don't take away my answer. Remember, I read these questions a long time ago when we were supposed to do the video. Yeah. So
didn't read, did read.
Of course, I always read them.
She gathers them up.
Yes.
Okay.
So if I were to give myself advice now, looking back, what I would say, and I have to read them because I wrote these answers a while ago, live your life. Just live your life. Don't try so hard. Because it's not about, okay, I'm going to heal this and I'm going to heal that. And once I heal this, okay, then we can come back into union. It just doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. You can be fully healed. You can have looked at every possible angle. And it's still not time for union. Because number one, union happens in divine time, not when we're healed. And it also happens at the right time for our own growth. We may think we're totally grown, totally healed, totally got it all together, when there's another angle that we haven't even seen yet, that we have no clue about yet. I mean, I don't know how many times I've read in my journal while we were sharing our story through videos that I was like, yeah, I feel like I totally got it together now and I'm all healed. I was 23 a lot of the times when I wrote that. What the hell did I know at 23? Not to insult my 23-year-old self, but I had a lot of growing to do still. A lot of growing to do still. And there were things I was healing that I didn't even know that I was going to be healing. So just live life. Just allow things to unfold as they unfold. Without intention of trying to get somewhere. In other words, honor the journey instead of the destination.
I've been mulling this over while you were giving the answer, and sometimes I try to think and feel my way towards a warm and fuzzy answer, but I thought I was going to go down this road, and it just turned all teeth and claws on me. It said, no, 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 don't go down.
Teeth and claws.
Don't go down the road of leaving each other with a checklist of things to improve on before you try to get back together.
No.
This is a very intuitive journey.
Yeah. And that was the problem with you and I. We're very checklist kind of people. So we would have done that and it would have been a disaster. Okay, you have to heal this and this and this, and you have to heal this and this. You can't heal by a list. You heal by life experience.
The only thing that I would advise is that hopefully the two of you can agree that there's always a bridge back.
I'm gonna say a little different though. Because
Okay.
not everybody agrees to that. A lot of times people don't feel like there's a bridge back. And a lot of people come to me and message me going, my twin just said this, and it's like, it's over forever. And I'm like, it's never over forever. Sure, it's over forever in this now moment for them because they're in ego. So it might feel like there's no bridge back because they've said, never am I going to speak to you again, and
See,
never are we going to have a relationship again, and never do I want to have you in my life again.
see
That's
now,
ego.
now, but it is the bridge back is in ego. The bridge back is a 3D bridge back, a bridge back of communication, not necessarily a bridge back to relationship.
But a lot of
Just
people
like,
don't have that.
yeah.
Their twin closes out everything and blocks them from all social media, and they feel hopeless because now they're like, well, now what am I going to do?
Okay, so let's back this up one notch. We're almost reverse engineering the question. How about before things get that bad, if you're not making progress, if it seems to be stepping back, that's when you set up your bridge back before it's already blown up, before you have a chance to even put it in place.
Okay.
In other words, don't hang on too long.
Okay.
That's
But,
an ego.
but I'm just saying the whole reminder is to let people know that even if they don't see a bridge back, there is a bridge back. Not everybody agrees about bridge being there because one person gets completely pissed off in the whole experience and says, never again will I communicate with you. It's over. It's done. I never want to see your face again. You're not that personality. You are a bridge back personality. You give
Yes.
everybody a bridge, sometimes when they shouldn't have a bridge.
Yeah, I'm guilty. Guilty is charged.
I know you give too many bridges, but some people give no bridges. And if a person, there's a lot of people that don't have that bridge back or don't feel like they have that bridge back. And it's to remind them that there is always a bridge back, even if your twin has said there is no bridge back. Why? Because when we say there's no bridge back, it's usually we're saying it out of anger, which is ego.
Which is 3D.
Yes.
In 5D, for me, I would always encourage that in 5D that there is a bridge back.
Always.
But it's a case of how do you turn that into a more 3D reality of union built in with 5D.
Well,
that's hard to do.
I think if you remember that you're connected, so the more you connect with yourself, the more you're going to connect with your twin because the bridge is your soul connection that you share. And that can never be broken. Just like you can never cut cords, you can never cut that bridge. Even though they say they've cut it, they haven't cut it. They can't. It's all good. We've totally deviated from the question, just so you know.
Yeah, we did our own little tangent talk.
We're so good at that. Sorry. Okay.
Next question. About the final union, many say that it is a romantic illusion, and the purpose of flames is not to be together in 3D. What do you think? Romantic illusion about final union. Many say that it is romantic illusion.
I'm very passionate about this, not just this question, but this whole general thing because I understand twin flame union at a bigger level as a lot of us do. But you
And I also, one of the cornerstones of my thought is that we experience life because we could not experience what we needed to learn to grow outside of life in the realm of 5D or even higher. So we are here in 3D to experience 3D experiences, but it's very nice to have the reasons why we're experiencing these 3D connections through understanding a lot of what goes on in 5D. So therefore, if we're getting together in 3D, we're actually fulfilling a learning purpose. So therefore, to get together in 3D is part of the plan.
Well, I see it as part of the plan because we're not just here to have a romantic relationship with our twin flame. The whole purpose of why we've come as twin flames is when we unite, first of all, ourselves, our own masculine and feminine within just us, and then we reunite with the other person. That energy, that love is what's helping our world ascend. I mean, there's many of us or many others helping the world ascend, and that's why I say twin flames are not like the be all end all. We're not any better than anybody else. But it's the love that we bring to the earth that is helping with ascension and helping with the advancement of the earth and the healing of the earth. So, in my opinion, yes, we are meant to be together. Does that mean everybody is going to get to union? I can't say that. I mean, nobody knows that for sure. In fact, I used to think absolutely. If you met your twin on this earth, you are meant to be together. I've since had to change my perspective only because I've read so many things on Facebook of people saying my twin flame died. My twin flame is no longer with me.
My twin flame is a business partner. How
Sure,
about that?
Sure.
I'm starting to expect that we're going to see a lot of twin flame relationships that break out of the romantic mold, and that people recognize that they are twins, but they exist in a non-romantic partnership or friendship.
But that doesn't mean that they don't have the love.
No.
The love is still there. It's just it's not a romantic love, but it's still an authentic, genuine, healing, powerful, strong love.
Relationship love, yes. So, yeah, if there's anything this journey over the past year and a half has been teaching me, is that there is many different styles of twin flame relationships. They don't have to be boy, girl, get married, enjoy twin flame. That's it. Sure, that seems to be where a lot of them are headed. That is an expectation, but there's a lot of mold breaking going on out there.
Absolutely.
And I'm really fascinated with what I've been seeing. Now that we've been through 3 workshops and have had lots and lots of people talk about their journeys, it's almost mind-blowing, the possibilities.
Totally. And there is no mold within the twin flame thing. Like, okay, you meet, you have this wonderful connection, then you split up, you do your work, you come back together, you have union, you get married, you live happily ever after. That's one mold.
One mold.
Is that all of them?
Not even close.
And also, just to clarify, the romantic part is, like, everybody, I think, has this sort of illusion that it's the princess and prince fairy tale thing.
And
is that really true?
And the happily ever after, and the, oh boy, I'm going to say it, and the mind-blowing sex, etc., etc., etc.
That's not real.
And yet when you talk,
at least not from our experience. Not to say, I mean, we have a great connection, yes, but we still live in 3D Earth. We still have bills to pay. We still have struggles. We still have work to do. We still grow. We still heal. We're still normal human beings. So everything else that everybody else goes through.
So many say that it's a romantic illusion. I suppose there can be a lot of romance in it. Is it all about the romance?
No.
No. So, is it a romantic illusion? To some level of balance? I'm gonna say yes, but at the same time, people can live with people and have a romantic relationship. Some guy can go and build a cabin in the middle of the mountains and have a wonderful romantic relationship with the valley and the mountains and the trees. It's depending upon your definition of romance.
Good point. Yes.
And that's where I've really come down to it. Some person can be just wonderfully in love with life and connection without even having another person around.
Yes, and I was just going to say, how much romance you have with someone else is how much romance you have with yourself, right? Because again, it's always a connection with the self first. So, and what does that look like? What is everybody's definition of romance? I mean, for us, romance is going out to the mountains.
Yes.
We'd much rather do that than have like some expensive wine and fancy
supper thingy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right word. Steak and like stuff like that. I have no interest in that.
Like would I trade today?
Zero.
Would I trade today for a $120 top-notch steak supper?
No.
No, I wouldn't. I'd want today over with.
In our like exercise clothes and our tied back hair, that's romance to me. Being out hiking and holding hands and wowing over waterfalls and creeks and stuff like that.
No, there's lots to wow about there.
There was. Absolutely. But that's not everybody's idea of romance. So again, it's your own definition of what is romance. It's different for everybody. Yeah. But it is still my opinion that the majority of twins, if you have met and are on this earth together, it's my opinion that you have come with the intention of union. Not just for yourselves, but for the greater whole, in that when you are together, you bring that expansive love to the earth, which is part of what we are here to do, lighting up the grid to help evolve our world.
Our next Q&A, I think we'll touch on this more because I wanted to go in directions that would be another tangent. But the next Q&A, which will...
And we're at 111, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we are.
So we should probably wrap up soon.
That was a great question,
That is, yes. We could go on and on just on that one.
Just reading the next question.
Maybe we'll make that our last one.
I'd like to actually try that question.
Okay.
I have been guided to balance my masculine and feminine. But what does this really mean? What does this mean to you, Angie? That's why I like the question. It was a question for her more than anything.
You brat. But that's okay, I'm prepared. I just pulled this off the wall before we started this. You'll see it's all kind of wrinkled and it's even got tape on the back because it's on our wall at home.
And I want that back on the wall where it came
from. It will be. That's why I left the tape on it. That's why I had the tapes on all the corners.
I spend many minutes looking at this list.
Yes, I like this list.
It's a great list.
So what was the question again, just so I can...
One more time. I lost it. I have been guided to balance my masculine and feminine.
Right.
But what does this really mean?
Because I'm a tangible, not a tangent. I am a tangent person too. But a tangible visual list kind of person, I pulled this off the wall to show you. This to me is what it means to balance your masculine and feminine. If you're familiar with the yin and yang, I'm not going to read all of these, but there is a huge list of masculine, feminine qualities that we all have. And so it's learning to balance those things within us. Learning to balance being intuitive, but also being logical. Now I have to read some of these because I can't think just off the top of my head. Some of these.
Rounded, straight, softness, hardness, the opposing bits. Yeah. Flexibility, solidity. That's a beautiful word. Inactivity, movement. Calm, energetic, slow, fast, tired, lively. I have a quick, easy, nasty answer, and then it'll probably trigger you into another answer. It's about having tools at your disposal to learn. If you've got only masculine tools, chances are you're only going to have masculine experiences. If you've got masculine and feminine tools in your tool shed, you'll be able to interpret things from both points of view and have more ways to resonate with the experiences that you're having.
Yeah, so it's just about being balanced in the way you interact with the world, the way you express yourself in the world. So some of us are super kind, nice, but maybe we're too nice. Maybe we give too much. And so we need to learn to balance that. So it's just learning to come to the world from a balanced place, not a leaning to one side place, whether it be too much this or too much that. Like for me, I was always too nice to the point I'd give up myself. It's one thing to give of yourself, but it's a whole other to give up yourself. So that's not healthy, that's not balanced. So it took, and it still takes sometimes, practicing my masculine side in saying, no, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. I'm not willing to do that. Or, no, I don't want to give that right now. I need to give to myself. So just little things like that. Just learning to be both sides. If you find you're a highly active person, then maybe it's time to sit and be still and find quietness.
I'm just resonating completely here with two of the opposing words. One's interior and one's exterior. We do this within our society. People that are inside all the time, we say, hey, go out, go for a walk, see what's out there. People are outside all the time, we say, you should just go home sometime and just relax. We give ourselves those advices all the time as a society. And that's in an attempt to get those balances, to be able to have more things that we experience. I just had to say that.
So I would advise, look up yin and yang if you want, or masculine, feminine, however it resonates, and just see what the different qualities are and see where you fall more on, whether it is the masculine side or the feminine side, and then read the qualities on the other side of the list and go, okay, so how can I embrace some of those qualities? How can I bring some of that into my life? And practice. It's quite actually fun to do on a conscious level.
It is. I really like that.
Me too.
That's a good question.
Now don't wreck our piece of paper. It's got to go back on the wall.
Careful. All right.
So I think we're going to wrap up because we try not to make these too long, and we're already at a minute. I wish it was only a minute. It feels like a minute.
I could use a lot more minutes.
Yeah. We're at an hour and 17 minutes already. So we do have like a whole other half a page left. We will definitely answer them at some point.
I think we're going to have 2 question and answer ones right close together.
Yes.
I really do.
Yes.
Which is I'm all good with because I still have tons and tons of fun with these. I really do.
Yes.
I love the questions. Even the ones that I struggle to understand, I love the questions.
So we will wish you a good day, a good night, a good whatever it is for you. And we'll be back probably in the next week.
I'm going to say shortly.
Yes.
Before the end of the month.
Yes.
All right. Let's do that.
Okay.
Now we got to go find the day before the end of the month. Gotta love being busy. Active versus still. It's on the list.
Yes.
We're very, very active.
Yes, we need to put some more feminine in there.
Yeah, got to
more
become
stillness.
More still.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good week or a week and a bit.
Yes.
Okay.
We love you guys.
Bye. Bye.